Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. So everyone is talking about NanoBanana. What is Nano? Banana is simply a Google product and it's a tool that allows you to generate ultra-realistic images. So did you see that? Actually, the quality of the image that was generated just from text is really lifelike. And above all, this technology was created and is very focused on what we call UGC style creation. User-generated content, which simply means content created by users. And especially if a user wants to give, for example, their opinion about a product, this technology can create an image that simply illustrates the person. So if I take a very simple example, look here for instance, this is a photo of a person, this is a car, and then if I use NanoBanana, I will get this photo, where this person is using this car. So really how? The technology was made to combine two photos and show a user using the product. That's the strength of NanoBanana. So for me, I simply created a workflow that is already capable of creating an image with NanoBanana. But be careful, I also used another product, our powerful Google tool, which is VE3, to take the photo generated by NanoBanana and then transform it into a video. So it's a very powerful video because we're using a technology called Google DeepMind. This Google company is the one that developed VEO3 to create videos that simply bring images to life. So, a very simple example. This is a photo, for instance, generated by NanoBanana. So now what I did was I already sent a photo of the chair, okay? And of course, I asked NanoBanana, using an automated workflow, to place it in a frame where I can advertise this chair. And the result is really impressive. This is the result we got. But be careful, afterwards, I was able to use VEO3 to actually create a video of this chair. I'll show you the video right now so you can see the quality of the results generated by this combined intelligence. Voiceover. Once the video is created, as you saw, the goal is to automatically publish this video on all our social networks, especially if we want to make advertising videos or testimonial videos. So, in any case, it's interesting viral content created 100% by artificial intelligence. And here, the video, for example, this is a very simple example of how it is published on my YouTube channel in a fully automatic way using Bluetato. So, what's the plan for today's video? First, I'm actually going to give you this workflow, which you'll simply be able to download for free. I'm going to export it here. And so I'll actually give you the link so you can directly download this file. It's a JSON file, which you can simply import. And also, I'll simply provide you with complete documentation as well, thank you. All the code that I used in this workflow. It's a manual that contains all the steps, all the code that was used, and all the links as well. This will of course allow you to fully master your workflow so that it is, obviously, fully operational. So stay until the end of the video. We'll start first by installing this workflow on our n8n server. After that, we'll run it, understand the mechanism, and see how the information flows everywhere. We'll test it with a new image. My goal is that by the end, you should be able to activate this workflow on your system and be able to generate individual content every day and publish it on your social networks. Thank you. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Firas. Today, I am a trainer on the Udemy platform. I write a lot of content about automation. I am also a top-rated instructor in everything related to automation and digital marketing on Udemy France. So today, if I simply search here for a product or a course on n8n, I have some dozens and dozens of courses that today have the bestseller badge on the French-speaking market. So today, if you want to access all my courses, I'll leave the link in the description. My complete 21-hour course, which includes all my workflows and all my practical workshops available on Udemy automatically. All in a single link for those interested in becoming an n8n expert. Now, let's move straight to downloading our workflow. I'll show you how to access and get the JSON file for free. So now, to download all this code, it's very simple. You'll go to this address, n8n.drfiras.vip, just like here. And you'll enter your email address and click on I want the templates. What will happen then is you'll automatically receive an email containing my complete NanoBanana workflow, free of charge, ready to be imported into our n8n server. To get access to the n8n server, if you don't have a server, just click here and there This will give you access to an n8n server with an unlimited number of workflows to import and activate. I'll show you right now how to set up an unlimited n8n server. To have an n8n server, you need to sign up either on the official n8n website, but in terms of pricing, it's a bit expensive. There are other hosting providers. Here we're talking about $24 per month. And be careful, you can only have 5 active workflows at the same time. And that's really, really little if you're a freelancer, or if you're a company that wants to activate certain workflows to automate your work. 5 active workflows at the same time, which is really, really little. If you want to go for the 20 workflow option, then the price goes up to $60 per month. And that's why actually I personally prefer using Hostinger. So here, this is actually a partner where I host all my workflows. Here on Hostinger, you really get unlimited workflows, and especially with servers actually at really attractive prices. For example, if I simply go to Hostinger, we'll just do /n8n directly. You'll actually find yourself on this page. Be careful, you need to be on the page where you see this logo here, n8n. Here, on this page with n8n Direct and Hostinger, you'll see that I can get a 15% discount with my buddy Dr. Firas 15. So really 15% off on their servers. That's actually very interesting information, because if I go directly to Hostinger, I will not get the 15% promotion. So as a result, I was able to negotiate with them to give me special access for my community where I can get 15% off. So thanks to that, thanks to this link, what I was able to do is select this server here called KVM2. KVM2 actually has 2 processors and gives me an unlimited number of workflows that I can activate. I'm not limited. And here the price is 6.99 euros per month. So basically we're at about 10% of the price you would pay on the official n8n server. Now, for companies that want to sell workflows or run complex workflows, of course, a 4-processor server is what's recommended. So it's simple to get access to this. So I click here. You'll see that we have a 30-day satisfaction or your money-back guarantee. So that's also very, very interesting. So what I'm going to do is select 24 months. Here, the price is 6.99, and with you, I'm actually going to test my coupon. So now I'm going to type it in for the first time because negotiating 15% off wasn't easy, but we managed to get it. Firas 15. Puissance. And here we go. Let's apply it and see how the prices change. Here we go. So now it's applying my discount. And there you go, it works. So the 15% discount has been applied, so that's at least 25 euros off. And here, this is the final price. So now I'm paying less than 6 euros per month. So for the server, you need to make sure to properly install the n8n server. Now it offers you 2 types of installation. There's the classic n8n. And personally, I prefer this one, the n8n Plus with its workflow. So the only difference actually, when I choose this server, it will give me 100 workflows installed for free on my system, which are pre-programmed. So these 100 workflows are actually the ones most used by companies around the world. So as a result, it still gives you a foundation where you can select the workflows that interest you, activate them, test them, and modify them. So since it's free, I encourage you to go for this. And that's it then. All that's left to do is click on Continue to simply place the order. And don't forget, you're covered for 30 days. So it's really interesting for people who just want to test it out and see what it's like. In terms of automation and the power of their server. So once you have the server, for the next video, this is the part where we'll import our workflow so that we can simply use it and modify it according to our specific needs. The one from NanoBanana. So what we're going to do now is we have our server, we'll click here to create our workflow, but of course we're going to import it since it's already ready. So we'll go here and click on Import from File. And so when we click here, we'll select the file that you downloaded from the link I provided. And here is the file actually. Be careful, you need the JSON file here, not the zip file, because that file is actually compressed. Of course, you need to make sure to decompress it first to get just the JSON file at the end. So when I click here, I hit open and I'll see the entire workflow displayed here. So of course, there are what we call credentials. What are credentials? It's the connection between n8n and tools that belong to you, like your Google Drive, or for example, your Telegram. These are nodes where you need to create what's called your credential. Credentials are simply a connection that you set up once, and once it's done, that's it. So for example, this one, I'm going to save it. If I go back here to my homepage, you'll see, for example, here, when I go to credentials, I'll find all the tools that I've actually connected and used. And once I do it, it will always stay here, actually, in my system. So creating credentials is still a very important part, just like with Google Sheets. Of course, you can watch my video on creating credentials. It's available here on my channel, so Dr. Firas on YouTube. You'll see that here on this channel, I've actually posted an entire video where I show you, in fact, how to connect Google products with your n8n server. So once we're here, I'm simply going to try to run it, this workflow, so that it works. To run it, we're going to execute it. Of course, we'll need to understand. So what are the 5 steps in my system? First, there's a very important and crucial initial step, which is precisely where I actually retrieve the necessary information from my Telegram application. So I will open it right here at this very moment. Telegram. You'll see that here in Telegram, I send it an image. And with this image, I add a short text like this to tell it what I want to do with the image. What type of ad am I going to create? What type of video am I going to create? And at that point, it will collect this information and of course save it to Google Drive. And above all, it will move on to the second step, which is the most important one, calling on the NanoBanana, which I will of course show you how I was able to create actually this NanoBanana. Of course, I use artificial intelligence to create the special script that NanoBanana will execute. And what is the result? I'm actually going to upload my picture. Once the photo is downloaded, and that's what makes my system so strong, I move on to step 3. This is a very important step. What am I going to turn this image into? What am I going to turn this image into? What am I going to turn this image into a video? So thanks to what? Thanks to VEO3. And for that, I create a special Imprendre script to give him the scenario. And so what result will I get? I'll simply have a VEO3 video ready to be downloaded. And at the end, and this is what's really funny about the workflow, I call on Blotato, which is going to do what? It's simply going to send my product here, in this case, my photo. Good. Here is the information I have, a little bit everywhere on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, 8threads, Bluetato Sky, and Pinterest. And at the end, it actually sends me back the final video. You'll see that here, I already received the URL of the video that was created. I received the video so I can watch it. And of course the system. So it will notify me with all that information. So now we've had a little preview of the 5 steps, which is very interesting. We're simply going to try running it to see a bit more how the information will flow, to better understand the system's mechanism and what each node does and how it works. And here we go. So now we're going to move on to execution. So to better understand the mechanism, I'm not just going to click here to run the whole workflow. No, I'd actually like to use step-by-step execution that will give us time to go through it. A discussion to understand the nodes, for me to explain to you the flow, how it works, how it runs, and what parameters you need to set. So pedagogically, this will be more interesting to follow. Actually, this video here. So to start, we're going to work on collecting and gathering data. That's the first step. First step, we need a trigger, which is Telegram. This Telegram will receive the information. And afterwards, I will mainly save it to a Google Drive. So for me, I created a Google Drive folder like this. Of course, this folder is just a test folder. This is where I'll put all the videos I want to save here for traceability. And then I created a Google Sheets file where I will put all the information. That means, for example, here, I'll make sure to include the image name, the image URL, and then we'll create the description. Everything that will appear here, in fact, will be created as we go along. So for me, the first thing to do is to run this one. So I'll just click here so that the execution stops there. Now I will continue to go until I successfully retrieve it, the specific Telegram file that I am looking for. So now I'm going to run it. So it's now waiting so it can retrieve the file. So what's the idea? I'm going to show you an image. This is an image. So this is an image that I'm going to ask the artificial intelligence to use, and with this image, it will create a photo for me. with NanoBanana. And this one will simply be a figure that I'll place on, for example, in front of my computer and in an environment. It's as if I'm in my room, so this one will be what we call that. So here is a Blender modeling process. That means I'm going to show, even on my computer screen, how I'm preparing a model for this system. So I take this image, you'll see I select it from my computer. Okay, so I take it like this. And I'm going to add here in the caption the description of my prompt. That means what do I want to do? So here I'm just going to copy and paste a short text here. Text created quickly with ChatGPT. So we're going to tell it that this is a character, a figure, and that it's going to place it in a box. And that on the computer, we're actually going to see the modeling, the design of this avatar, if you like, and that it's going to be, well, on a plastic stand. And I want it to be indoors. So now it's updating, it's currently uploading the information to the drive. Next, it's also uploading the information to Google Sheets, and now it was able to retrieve the file. So shall we? Let's check actually. First, when I click here, I can open Google Drive. I see that, so it just created, let's check the file name, there it is. So it just created a file, AQADV. So I'm going to come here. So here it is, this is the file that was just created. So this is my file. So what am I going to do? Let's also see, so we'll try to check if we can see and verify in Google Sheets whether it actually added a new row. So here it is, this is the new row that was just added. So what did it record in the row? First, it recorded the name and the link to Google Drive. And here the caption that I sent. So here in the first step, we managed to retrieve the information that was just sent via Telegram. That's my very first crucial step, and to effectively save them. Second significant step, what exactly does it involve? The second important step here is first and foremost to thoroughly analyze the entire content of the image, because we absolutely need to fully understand it. And what we're going to analyze here, we'll also save it in the Google Sheets file. And afterwards, we'll call on this intelligence, this agent. This agent will actually try to create a prompt for me that we can send to NanoBanana. So why do we need to create a prompt? Because today, if we actually look at NanoBanana, you'll see that here on NanoBanana. We actually need to send exact and precise information within the API so that the system can effectively create your very own personalized image. And for that purpose, we must ensure all necessary details are meticulously provided. Basically here, we've just put a print and system. In this particular print, actually, it's a user print. We meticulously give it the comprehensive description that has been carefully written by the user, and we also provide it with the detailed description that has been thoughtfully generated by the advanced artificial intelligence. Thanks to these two crucial and distinct pieces of information, it will actually be able to effectively and accurately create the desired output. For us, all of that part, it's simply the print that we're going to send it. In fact, with NanoBanana, we even give it examples so it can understand better. Of course, all this documentation is here, actually, in our document. I've included for you everything that the system takes in. You will always find it here, well detailed. So, rather, we're going to focus on this one. So, this information will actually help you as well, so you can just copy and paste it to simply, in fact, use the system. That way, here we have the prompt user. And here we have the second prompt, user. So these two. You simply need to click on copy here and paste them if you ever need to update them. So in our system, we're now going to execute here up to, let's say, we're going to run it up to this part here to see how it works. It will prepare the prompt for me. And afterwards, we'll have a little discussion about the part where we're going to create the NanoBanana. So what we're going to do now is try to run the execution up to here, so that we can analyze the image and create a special print to send to NanoBanana. Now what I'm going to do is execute it up to this step to have analyzed the image and saved it on my system. So now we're going to execute this step. So at this point it has analyzed. And what did it do? It saved it in my Google Sheets. So if I open Google Sheets here on this line, I see that it has done a complete analysis of the image. So you'll see that regarding the image, it will detect the style, the colors used, and the information. So if there's a name, for example, related to the character or the brand that was used. So all of that has just been saved here. All of this, of course, was done thanks to the prompts we set up in the OpenAI Vision section. So here we put the entire prompt, which will simply ask it to generate a file for us in IAM format. IAM is a specific format where it will provide all this information and these details. Once it has found it, it will simply return it to me, the result. So here, we've just finished the part where we save the analysis information. So now, I'm going to start working on writing the specific print. So here, I'll click on Run the step. You'll see here, of course, it calls OpenAI. And so as a result, it just generated it for me in the specific format I specified. So here, this is actually the specific and detailed print that I can confidently send to NanoBanana. So this particular print here is precisely what will effectively help me to execute the task. NanoBanana. And now we've simply reached the most interesting part, which is this part of NanoBanana. In this part what did I use? I used an intermediary, which is FL.ai. So let me show you actually when I can, for example, go fetch OpenAI or rather OpenRouter. So here in this case, which is actually a very well-known site, which is OpenRouter. AI here is an intermediary, so it also offers several models. And among the models we need today is this one actually, Google Gemini 2.5 Flash Images. Now it's true that when it first launched, it was free for the first few days, but of course it won't stay free, so I can use OpenRouter to actually use this model. Thanks to this model, as you'll see, I can obviously test it. I can even create my own key. But for me, if you want to work in a professional way, of course, you'll want to use another tool, which is fl.ai. So we're going to go to the website. Here I'm on the FL.ai website. So actually on this site, I can already open it up to show you. So this is a site that will allow you to use a huge number of models actually. There are a lot of models. Here's the one from NanoBanana. Of course, there are some for VEO3 as well, but for VEO3, after that, we'll use another site. In any case, all of these are sites that actually serve as intermediaries. Of course, you need to have a small balance here to be able to generate these videos. So as a result, I can even check here. The demonstration here is just to give you an idea actually. So it tells you, listen, $0.039 per image. So really, if you want to make 10 images, that's 0.3 and 100 images is $3. So as a result, the price is really, really attractive. So there you go, the cost isn't very high compared to creating images. But really, it's an image of very, very high quality, which will actually help us later on to create the video. Okay, so for me, it's simple. We create an account here on a file, we top up our account here, basically. And thanks to that, I made an HTTP request to the fl.ai website. So here I set the parameters, and here, as you can see, I entered the value of the API key. Now, just a quick but very important note for you. Beforehand, it's a little bit, it's a mistake that people often make. So of course, you'll go see the FL site, and what's very important for me, when you enter the key here, before you copy and paste your key, you need to type KEY followed by a space. This is actually very important to do before entering your key. Because if you enter the key directly here, it won't work. You have to type KEY, a space, and then the key for it to really work. Okay, so now I have the system, and here I'm simply giving it as input. The printout, the system that was created. There's a bit of formatting in the print to remove everything like accents, quotation marks. So that's to really get plain text. And of course, the image we downloaded from Google Drive, we're going to send it to the system so it can process this image. So now the system has everything it needs to be functional. So now we're simply going to run it here to see how the machine will operate, to actually start generating your image. All right, let's go. We're going to run this step here. So what's happening here is that it has sent a request to FL to actually create the system. So when I come here to file, you'll obviously see it. Here, this is where I can retrieve the pie, as you can see. So now it's showing me that I'm currently consuming, in fact, a new creation of a new photo. And so the system here is in the process of creating. And for that, if I go back here, I've set up a system called wait. Here, the wait is simply that I've set it to 20 seconds to tell the system to wait 20 seconds for the video to be ready. And now if I simply go to my account, you'll see that if I check the history, here's the image that has just been created. So it was written successfully. So the status code means that it was created correctly. The 20 seconds, of course, I think they've passed. Let's check here. If it's finished, yes, it's finished. So let's run this one. What is it going to do? Actually, this is just a very standard, very simple HTTP request node, which allows you to take the response that was, there you go, generated by the NanoBanana node, and it's going to send me back the image. Come on, let's find out together. Right now, I'm discovering it in real time. Let's see what this image looks like and what it resembles. And there you go. So if I look, we started from this. There you have it. And actually, we started from an animated image. And here is the result. Honestly, it's amazing. So right here, it just did for me, actually the photo inside. It's true that here, I don't see the computer. I think that in the print generated by the AI, it tried to better position the photo so that it looks more like a real photo. Actually, they don't have a mascot, so it's 3D. But still, I really like the result. The result is very, very interesting. So, what are we going to do with this photo then? If I come back here, thank you. It's going to be another task, which is simply with our tool VEO3. First, we're going to work on a third step, which is a very important step, where I'm going to create a new prompt. This prompt will be used to start generating a video to bring this image to life.